I can read something. Well, in 2020, Enfuse presented the Stylo Splitboard Binding at the ISPO trade show in Munich. This minimalist system uses a rotary lever in the middle of the binding for locking. That's all I knew back then.
We're in the book.
Yeah, just one sentence, but you're in the book.
For the first time, this is the production version of the binding, and just to introduce it, it's for those who doesn't see the binding on ISPO. We have invented our own orbital system, and it's different because it doesn't use any pucks, and it connects the board and the binding together so stiff that mostly the split board feels as a hard board. Actually, you're able to carve the boards. You know, still it's a split, so the nose is a little bit, you know, not shaking but bending. But this part is really stiff. It's because this system connects both skis together and also ties the base plate to the board, so it makes the connection so stiff, and it's easy to detach it. Just, you know, unlock it and take it out. And the other thing is that this interface is maybe the lightest on the market, and it's really easy to clean it from snow, you know, because that mostly when you hike up the mountain, all the pucks catches so much snow. And you know, when we've been talking with the guys from Amplit on this meeting a couple days ago, they were talking about the top sheet that doesn't catch the snow, and we have our solution for the interface, that it's easy to clean. We've changed the base plates for the production version. Actually, the version from the ISPO was this one, and it was too wide for us, and it used the connecting pins for the straps, and we didn't like it. And also it had sharp edges and some pressure points for boards. So we've redesigned the whole base plates to make it even lighter. So it looks like this right now. And we've made the space to be easy to clean, and that it doesn't catch snow when you are trying to connect the binding back. And it's narrower in this place, and we are using the bolts for straps right now. The production version will have all the bolts customized for one Allen key, that you will have just only one Allen key for a whole binding to make it easier. If you want to adjust your angle on the binding, it's just losing these 4 screws, and you can use the angle whichever you want. It can be made even on a board. So when you have it on the board connected like this, you will lose it a little bit, lose those 4 screws, adjust your angle and tighten it. So you're able to make it to do it in the terrain. You don't have to have any alignment tools and stuff like that. What we've also changed is this hexagon nut in the back, that we have 6 positions for a high back. You can just twist it in the angle what you want, the more progressive or more slacker. And we've tried on the ISPO version, it was detachable, that you can unclip it and open the high back for hiking. But after the testing, after the feedback, like most of the people didn't use that, because mostly the splitboard boot doesn't allow you to go in that angle. It doesn't need to be open. So you can use the slacker angle, and at the top just twist it to have it steeper. So we've also made the edges lot rounder, so it doesn't damage the board that much. Not that much, it doesn't damage the board. Okay, so
reduce the pressure points, right?
Yeah, we've been talking about the pressure points on ISPO with a lot of guys. So actually, the binding is wider in these points, so it has a larger surface to connect to the board. So it make you know, the equal pressure for all of that. So it's a lot better. Also, the base plate is CNC machined, and we've tried to bend it, and it's you know, one of the stiffest on the market right now. And all the parts on it are interchangeable. So if anything just gets damaged, we can replace it. So that's it. That's the easy part. For the board and for the interface, we've changed the heel raisers because we've been using the heel lock system, but the heel lock system, we had a problem when you were in a deep snow and the board flexed, it just locked. So also we've been testing another systems, and after that we find out that it's pretty much the same like with the hexagon. A lot of people are not using the heel lock. So for the production version, we've decided to get rid of the heel lock and make it a lot more reliable to give us time to maybe find any other solution. And the cool feature is when you put the binding on, when you're putting the binding on in this angle, like you need 3 people to do it. It looks like this, and the cool feature is that the heel raiser is on a board, but when you step on it, it just flips up. So you have a space for your ski pole to pull it up, you know. So you don't need to have any pins on the sides. It's just cleaner like this. And after that, you have 2 positions of the razor. So that's one of the coolest things. And to detach is just easy like this. It's better to do it on the ground. So you can see that in this angle, you're not able to take it out. And when you take it to the angle almost forward, you know, it's just easy. The cool feature with the heel raiser, when you stepping on it and it lifts up, Michael was thinking that he doesn't like that it scratched the base plate. So you can see that there are, you know, inside the aluminum, there are still steel parts. Yes. That it's steel over steel, you know, so it doesn't damage your binding. And when you want to set your binding bigger or smaller, you have 3 positions of a high back, 1 to the front, 1 in the middle, 1 in the back, and also 2 positions of a front strap. So this season there will be only 1 size of a binding. There's something between medium and large, so you can use it for a boots like size 40 to size almost 45. Still 1 binding, and you're still able to center the boot on a board.
But you cannot move the board on the screws. Yeah, there's 1 centered position, and you have to move it on the back part. Yeah, you cannot move it on the connection with board.
Yeah. What you can see on the interface is that these pins have the oval holes but this is just because different split boards have some different tolerances for the inserts, and sometimes there is a couple tenths, and it's just to make it center all the time, even when you have a cheaper board interface. Those inserts are just in a different position just a little bit. And our crampons will look like this. They're pretty long, and the system is just so easy like this. And you are able to put the crampons on even when you have the binding on. So you can see it when you have the binding on. You can see it. You want to use your crampon, we'll do it like this. You can hike up.
And it goes.
So these are the main features of the binding.
I see one person complaining that you don't have a heel lock anymore. Is that something he uses a lot?
Yeah,
And we want to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, when we've been using the heel lock, mostly it was only when you have your board split it and you have it on your backpack, so you're using a heel lock to not lose your binding. But actually, I don't know many people who are using it. You'll be using it just for some short parts. It's easier to telemark it down. And
yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing if you are around a lot of skiers and you have a lot of transition parts in the flats, then or if you have like if you're around with skiers, then they just ski down a slightly steep part and you don't want to change the board.
We wanted to have that option for with a heel lock for customers, but actually we wanted to make the binding as reliable as possible. We want to make something that you will not bend the base plate. You will have everything that will last for a long time, and to have some parts that if they wear out, you will just change them and you will have a binding almost as new. And right now we know that the development of the heel lock will take us a little bit longer time. And we are a startup company from garage, so we have to decide where to invest our money. And actually right now the main investment for next season is that we will try to make this binding a lot more affordable. This will be the highest option, the alu version, but also we'll make the plastic one. So I think that during the next year we'll be trying to develop the plastic version.
There's a question, what is the weight of the binding? So
the complete interface and the binding with these heavy straps, because these are nitro straps from Machine and from Zero Binding, from our cooperation, and they're pretty, heavy. But it was our option for a production version, and this whole binding with the interface is slightly over 2,000 grams. I think that is 2,049.
Experience with underfoot comfort. Yeah, the binding is flat, but I think splitboard boots are well made, and there is no problem to use this binding. There is no how to say.
You know what? We've been thinking that on a plastic version we can we want to test the EVA EVA foam pads, but still maybe it will be softer, but we don't know how durable it will be. Needs a lot more testing.
I hope it makes any sense. The ring that's in the middle of the base plate. This looks like a separate part. Is this made from aluminum as well, or is this a different?
No, that's a stainless steel.
Okay, it's a laser cut part.
Yeah.
Because obviously when I saw it and these thin hooks, I was pretty concerned that during touring mode, when you just walk up and you get some stone sticks, whatever, in between your binding and your scale, it would be way easier to just bend these hooks.
Actually, all these parts are from stainless steel, and it's a laser cut, and also it's a CNC machines, you know, because we've been developing also this angle. So the system, actually, you still have to clean your board, you know, because still there is a surface what you have to have a clean. But even when there is a ice around those pins, these hooks, you know, crashes the ice, and also the angle is what tightens the binding to the board. So it has this steeper angle. And the last thing what we have is also we've been thinking about the solid board connectors. You know, a lot of people were asking for those. So we have these, and this one is a two-part one. Then you are able to have different angles on your solid boards, because you know, some people you know, are riding on a split board like both feet forward, but on a solid board they are riding a duck. So you can adjust your angles on the connectors, and you can swap the binding between different boards and have different angles without any need of adjusting that again and again and again. But still, we are thinking if we will use these for production, maybe we'll use just solid connectors that you will be adjusting the angle on a binding.
It's so easy to set the angle on the binding, you know, just like those 4 hooks and rotate it to the angle you want. Just 4 screws, no problem.
What about the crampons? I mean, for now we just have 1 minute left, but as far as I see, the crampons, they don't have any reinforcements, right?
Yeah. You mean reinforcements like in the bands?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've used 7000 grade aluminum, so it's pretty stiff, and like we've tested that, and we don't need it because it never bends back or something like that, and it's from 2.5 millimeter, from 3 millimeter sheet, so it's pretty thick, but still it's light.
I'm really interested about whether the tour mode could accidentally release.
I know
the history of that. Different boots tested, sizes to see if it's possible to tip the ski too steep that you can push sideways. Actually, when your foot's straight in.
Actually, I know what you mean. That you know, we have the locking angle of this. We have been discussing the locking angle, because still you when you're putting the binding on, you need at least this angle, so you can see where your boots have to be, you know, so you will have to have your knee on your nose to accidentally unlock it. And still because when we went for a steeper angle, the steeper angle was almost like this, and you had a problem with the high back, that you still, with a high back like this, you are not able to unlock it.
No, it's a really cool design. I don't think, like, in touring, I don't see it would ever be a problem. I just wondered if you'd like tested, you know, how steep, just because you know, things that shouldn't fall off still sometimes they do when you're in like really steep or slippery or icy terrain. And even if it wasn't a normal movement, like one place, like I've tried a bunch of different bindings, and like, for example, I know like the Spark and the Plume crampons work on the same mechanism where you it has to be really, really steep, and then you slide it in and drop it down. And I have lost them in like really gnarly terrain where you're on either a really steep kick turn, and then your ski will, like almost basically hit your knee, and then something just drops off. Or what could happen, which happens to splitboarders all the time, is you're doing a steep kick turn on really icy terrain, and usually it's a no fall zone, and you slip and you catch yourself. And then when you're in that scenario where you've just slipped in a kick turn and like caught yourself, then you will hit your knee on the board, or you get into crazy weird angles that you normally wouldn't when you're touring. But when you're in like a little half crash, things get bent in funny angles and pushed really hard in funny positions. And then that's also like a really bad time for your ski to come off.
We know what you're talking about. We were in this situation last season.
Last season in Slovenia.
So we tested, you know,
steep icy terrain without crampons.
We really tested this angle, and there was never any, you know, chance to lose it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was just wondering if, like, I could see how if the boot toe is long enough that you can't, you know, when you've got it strapped on, your toe should block the binding from going so steep that the ski comes off. I just wondered, yeah, like, I mean, you know, maybe if your boot, if it was like a girl riding it with a really short boot, that maybe hers could tip that steeply that the ski would come off or something like that. You know what I mean?
Actually, for girls, for next season, I think that we'll have a smaller base plate, like the small version. So also the base plate will be a little bit shorter, and the boot will be still in the same position. I think, you know, any mechanism what you are using, if you use, you know, a lot of force when you're not thinking about that, what you're doing, you can destroy anything. You know, even we had some testers which put it which locked the binding, but they had a lot of snow underneath, and they tried to like step on it, so it bended. You know, but that's not the problem of the idea of our system. Is mostly the problem of a user. Like these ones, these locking pins on the fronts. With a lot of people ask us what will happen when these will, you know, got a little bit worn out. So what we've done is that when they wear out, you will take it out and turn it, and it's the same from the other side. So you can use only one part, and it's your decision. If it will be worn out, you will just turn it. There is just a locking nut or screw. It's our first season. We are expecting that some things will come back, you know, maybe destroyed, but definitely we will make a way how to, you know, deal with our customers. We are thinking about, you know, the lot longer guarantee for the first season bindings, definitely, because we want people to, you know, to have their last binding like for maybe 10 years. Why not? You know.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
We still think that it will be better, you know, even for environment, when people, if they will bend it, we will replace it, or we will have, you know, all the spare parts available for it. It's still better than buy a new binding, you know.